All right, thanks for that, Matt. And a better than expected jobs report out in the U.S. is fueling gains on the North American stock markets today. And that's where we have Dr. Nick Bontis joining us live now to talk about some of the this story as well as some of the other major business stories that we're seeing. So let's start with the job markets now. For the first time in 4 months, it's risen at 9.6, the unemployment rate. But at the same time, we're seeing a bit of a contrast in the private sector. They've created over 60,000 jobs. So how does that all play together?
Well, happy Friday, Melanie.
Happy Friday to you.
This is probably a little bit of good news and bad news. Good news because obviously we get new jobs in the private sector, and the private sector pay is actually a little bit better than the public sector pay. And of course, the public sector jobs were reduced because of the census jobs. But I think we're hitting the floor. And the floor, by what I mean is that we're probably going to get new employment opportunities coming up over the next little while because most of the layoffs have already happened. Large corporations in the U.S. have had to rationalize their operations. And what they're looking at right now is making sure that they stabilize their operations before they actually hire new jobs. So the good news, I think, is that even though the U.S. is at about 9.5%, let's not forget Canada is at a better rate at 8%. So that, I think, bodes well for the market.
Okay, so there's some positive news, but still a lot of work to do.
That's correct.
Okay, because there were fears of a double-dip recession, and they're still talking about that. And tied into it, this is all obviously affecting the markets. We saw our dollar skyrocket today. And now everyone's asking the question, will the Bank of Canada raise the interest rate? September 8th is when the policy meeting is supposed to be happening. What are your thoughts on that? Because different analysts have different takes on it.
I hope that we don't raise the interest rates. Obviously, if we raise the interest rates, that could put a stall on the market recovery. I think what we need to appreciate is that we are very, very closely tied to the U.S. marketplace still in terms of a trade partner. 3 out of 4 dollars in terms of our trade business goes down to the U.S. So we're still very closely aligned with that U.S. market. There could be a double dip recession, as you mentioned. Let's define what that is. We already had a recession prior, and that's defined as negative GDP growth. They made a little bit of a recovery. In fact, they're at about 1.5% GDP growth. Canada's at 2% GDP growth, but if it dips below 0, that would be defined as a double dipping of a recession. We don't want that to happen in the U.S. because that'll affect Canadian marketplace as well.
Absolutely, and the two economies obviously go hand in hand. But when we're talking auto sales, we are seeing a huge difference because we saw the numbers come out for Canadian auto sales. Most of the big car companies here saw their profits grow, but in the States, we saw most of the companies drop by even as much as a third. So how does that tie in then? I guess it does all relate to each other.
Interestingly, GM, Chrysler were up, Ford was up, Mercedes was up significantly, but the two big ones that lost were Toyota 30% and Mitsubishi 30%. What I'd like to know, Melanie, is when are the U.S. people going to get their bailout money back? Because of course Chrysler and GM is making money. This is a big challenge because what happened last August 2009, let's remind our viewers, was that the U.S. had a cash for clunkers program, and that cash for clunkers program gave rebates to individuals to purchase new cars and get rid of their old ones, which were still polluting the air. That boosted August 2009 figures, and of course when you look at August 2010 figures, it's based on a denominator that was a little bit higher last year. So I don't think it's really fair to look at the numbers the way they are right now.
Okay, so there's still a lot to do with the figures there. With auto, I want to keep with the car insurance because that is the big topic right now, and a lot of people saying, is it really helping the average consumer? Are these premiums really going to come down, or is it the insurance companies that are really, it's protecting them more so than the consumers? That's the question.
So Melanie, I'm upset. Very upset because I can't believe insurance premiums are going to go up again. This is unbelievable. Here in Ontario, we pay among the highest insurance premiums, not only in Canada, but in the U.S. as well. And now there's a threat that they can go even higher. And all that happened was that now for rehab services, instead of $100,000, they dipped it lower to $50,000. But really, they're protecting the insurance companies, which I just don't understand why the Liberal government is doing this. McGuinty is obviously trying to shake a hand with some insurance CEOs. Perhaps there's some elections coming on, and that's why he's doing this, but in the end, it's going to be you and I that are going to be paying higher premiums. Right,
because the insurance companies, they're not going anywhere.
No. In fact, they're having record profits, Melanie, so I just don't see why they would reduce that $100,000 limit to $50,000 to protect the insurance companies.
All right, and last topic I want to talk about, Apple. Our good friends Apple, they're seeing their profits continue to skyrocket. They are leaders in innovation, and it seems they keep on coming out with new things. We're seeing with the iPod, Apple TV upgrades to their Apple TV. What is it about Apple that people just want to grip onto?
Steve Jobs wants global domination, Melanie. That's what it is. So they took over the music industry, they took over the computer industry, and they took over the mobile telephone industry. And what's next? TV. So Apple TV is being launched again. It was launched a few years back. It wasn't too successful. It'll come into the Canadian marketplace in a couple of months. Basically, what you're going to be doing is paying $5.99 for a high-definition movie with a little bit of a box in front of your TV. And what Steve Jobs is hoping for is that all these Canadians are going to watch these high-def movies whenever they want. The way it basically works is you download the movie, stream it through to your television. You have basically 48 hours to watch that movie from the first time it hits that TV.
And you think that's going to take a bite out of the industry then? Because you said it there, he wants market domination everywhere he can. TV, music, what's next?
Well, there's a lot of people who are looking at this news and they're freaking out. You got Blockbuster, you got the PVRs and the TiVos of the world, even, all the cable companies, Rogers On Demand, Cogeco On Demand. Everybody's saying, oh my God, has Apple done what they did to the music industry and the cell phone industry? Are they going to do that to the TV industry as well?
All right. Well, we will continue to see. And that does it for Business with Bontis. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Friday. You have
a great long weekend.
Wonderful long weekend. You can check out nickbontis.com. Thank you.